What's up, YouTube? Comic book friends and family. It's your boy Q from Quinn's Comic Stash coming at you again. Another episode of last week's comics tonight. So pretty busy week for me. Picked up quite a few books last week. A bunch of good stuff in here. Handful of titles I won't be picking up again. Again, spoilers this week. Everything's been out for a week now, so just forewarned. I'm going to talk about the books and anything that cool that happened in them. First up this week from Image, we got King Spawn #1. Pretty sweet cover here. I got the David Finch variant. Fantastic cover. Wanted the Todd McFarlane variant. Those things were super hot. The LCS didn't have any of those. But definitely was happy with this David Finch variant. The thing is very nice. Not a huge Spawn reader. I'm a fan of the character. But I haven't followed Spawn in many years, since it was a single-digit comic, actually. I think I read 1 through 10 or something like that back in the day. So we've got Sean Lewis and Todd McFarlane writing this new King Spawn story. It was good. It was dark. It was typical Spawn story, kids getting killed. So, I mean, it's very dark. Spawn trying to do his best Batman impersonation, find out what's going on in the supernatural realm and everything. The art is gorgeous on the inside. Not familiar with this artist's work on the Norm. It is Javi Fernandez. He actually kills it on the main story in here. His artwork is fantastic. Also, Brett Booth has a backup story in here involving Gunslinger Spawn, which is pretty cool. So it was cool. I don't think I'll be ready to turn into #2. It's not enough to get me to jump on the old Spawn bandwagon again. But, if Spawn's your thing, I don't think you'll be unhappy with this book. Artwork's fantastic. Traditional Todd McFarlane type storytelling in it with Spawn. And it was good for what it was, but I don't do too much Spawn. Next up, we got Wolverine #15. This is being written currently by Benjamin Percy and interior art by Adam Kubert. Really enjoying this book right now. It's kind of Wolverine at his core. He's on an adventure in Medjugorje investigating the Marauder, which they found in a port of call. They're all burnt to hell. And there's this new villain. Reminds me a lot of the bad guy from the Frank Miller Dark Knight Batman series. But he's pretty cool. Wolverine's having drinks with him and trying to figure out both are linked to Solem, which I believe is a villain that first appeared in the Cross of Swords story, who Wolverine battled there. And he has stolen a relic or ancient sword that Wolverine had, and Wolverine's trying to track him down, where at the same time this guy's kind of tracking Wolverine down. So actually enjoying this story quite a bit. We'll definitely continue to read that. I like the direction that Percy has been taking Wolverine in that. Next up, we got Darkhawk #1. This is a new spin on this character, on an old character from the 90s, who's rising in popularity again. And I mean, just look at that cover for one. I mean, that cover is just fantastic. It is beautiful. That's what drew me in. This is written by Kyle Higgins and illustrated by Juan Ramirez. It's a new character taking on the Darkhawk mantle, and honestly, I was not too thrilled with this book. I read it, and it just didn't do much for me. I wasn't really pulled into the new character. Didn't love it. Don't think I'll be returning for #2. Artwork's good. Storytelling was fine. I just wasn't enough to get me in on collecting another monthly book. But that cover is super sweet. So, having a Darkhawk one in your collection, completely understand. Next up, another cover by, this is Lucio Perillo's Vampirella #23. He just draws a mean smoking vampire. Man, what can I say, man? He is an incredible artist, and his femme fatales are stuff of legend, man. He is an incredible artist. And I collect Vampirella for the beautiful covers from Priscilla. He is incredible. Cult of Dracula finished up. This is issue 6. Kind of fell off on this book. Did not care for it too much. It's way too culty and way too dark even for me. And I'm a fan of the dark stuff, but this stuff got really out there. It's leading into a new series, Rise of Dracula. And if you're into that type of thing, check it out. It's a cool indie book. But I won't be following it anymore. Actually, kind of glad to see that title wrap up. Did love the covers for this series, so that's what pulled me into it in the first place. They were very grindhouse esque in their looking like an '80s horror picture type of movie poster. And I did enjoy those a lot. Those covers. Next up, we got the Trial of Magneto. This is the Peach Momoko Scarlet Witch variant. I thought this was a beautiful cover. Initially, wasn't planning on picking this up and was pleasantly surprised. Teeny Howard's writing this thing, and it was a fantastic read. I can't recommend this book enough. Next to Kang Conquer, this is about my favorite Marvel book that I've read in here recently. I really enjoyed it. Thought they did a good job. I apologize. This is not Teeny Howard. I thought Teeny Howard was writing this. This is Lee Williams, and Lucas Wernick is the artist. Apologize for that slip there, but it was a really cool story. They're trying to figure out who killed Scarlet Witch. All the evidence is pointing at Magneto, and you can't go around accusing Magneto of things he didn't do, or he's not going to be very happy. So, obviously, just kind of with the story, I kind of feel like it wasn't Magneto, but I think this is going to lead into kind of the Inferno storyline, which is the end of Hickman's run on the X-Men, and I think this is kind of the beginning of the unraveling of the mutant utopia that's been in place now. So it was really good. I'll definitely be continuing this series. Really enjoyed it. Next up, we got Robin number 5, one of the best books in DC right now. This Robin story is awesome. Both covers, hardstock variant, and the regular newsstand cover. This is issue number 5. Fantastic story going on right now on Lazarus Island. It's got Damian in a battle in like a tournament type fight to the death, blood sport, kumite type tournament. And it's really cool. In this, there's a really nice little embrace between him and Nightwing. Nightwing refers to Damian as, well, Damian was his Robin. It was when Nightwing was wearing the Batman mantle and had taken on the cowl, and Damian was his Robin. So there's a strong connection between those two characters there, and they had an emotional type scenario play out in the book, and it's a fantastic read. If you're not reading Robin, you should. It's one of the best DC books out there right now. Next up, we got a book from Image. This is a new number 1. This book was awesome. I absolutely love this. This is Second Chances. This is by, let's see. Don't want to screw up any more artists or writers on this episode. Once is enough for me, guys. So I'll find out who is writing and telling this story. It was 2 creators I was not familiar with, but they nailed it. They really did. It's a very cool story about a guy who, if you screwed up in life, or if you're needing a second chance, he can fake your death, get you a new identity type thing. And so it's kind of his story. And then some cool Shogun type characters end up coming up and assassinating someone that he was doing a job for. And it was really cool. I'll definitely be tuning in for issue 2, and I can't find the we got Mamone and Bertolini. Mamone doing the writing, Bertolini animating it. Animation's great. It's all black and white, but it's a gorgeous book. A lot of fun, a lot of gunplay and stuff in it, and it's the villains look cool. It was just a very cool story. I'll definitely be checking out the issue 2 to that. Next up, we got another book from Image, issue 5 of The Old Guard. This series is about to wrap up. One more issue of this left. Love this series. It's a tale of different immortals throughout different time periods, and each story is written by fantastic people in the industry. First story in here is by Jason Aaron, and man, I can't say how much I miss his non-superhero writing, man. Jason Aaron's stuff from back in the day, Scalped especially, is one of my favorite stories ever told in comics. And man, he just has a knack for gritty storytelling, and I can't wait to see some of his creator-owned stuff come back. But he does a story in this, The Old Guard, issue 5, that's really good. Love this story. curious to see if issue 6 kind of ties all the characters together that they've been introducing in each of the little mini stories that have been told so far. But I have been enjoying that book very much. Next up, that Texas Blood. This is number 9. Absolutely love this book. Very crime noir. It follows your Barney Five-esque type sheriff that runs the sheriff department in a small town in Texas, and they have weird, crazy things that happen there all the time. And it's just his life story. He's kind of in a case currently where he's aged a bit, but he goes back to refer to cases in his youth. It's kind of the way this story's going. So there's 2 stories going at once, and both of them are got you on the edge of your seat, wanting more and more. Absolutely love this book. Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips is the creative team on this book, and I absolutely love it. One of my favorite indie books out there. Extreme Carnage. This is Riot number 1. Haven't been following every issue of these. I've picked up a handful of them. I think I did the Lasher one, and I'm picking up the Extreme Carnage Omega. That's going to be coming out soon. That's going to tie all these together. This one was actually pretty good. It's kind of hard when you're not reading all of them. You got to kind of fill in the potholes that you hit in the storytelling when you're not reading all of them consecutively. But art's cool, story's cool. Love symbiotes, so this is what's going on with the symbiotes. This is written by Alyssa Wong, and Fran Gallen is the artist on the inside. But it's a pretty cool story. This introduces another new symbiote. I am a big fan of this new symbiote here, Silence. She looks freaking awesome. She was Scream, but she has now become Silence, and she's a very cool character. Flash Thompson's back with the symbiote on, and they're trying to stop Carnage. So it's cool. Looking forward to the climax. Let's see how it all turns out. Next up, we got Thor number 16. 2 covers of this one as well. Got the Peach Momoko Beta Ray Bill cover, which is my cover of the week. Absolutely just love it. Peach killed it with this one, man. That Beta Ray Bill is fantastic. And I got the standard cover too. This is issue 2 in a 3-part series that Donny Cates is telling. And it's pretty cool. We get a nice little surprise here. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, has turned on him. It's kind of just left him and is just laying around waiting for anybody to pick it up, and is not obeying Thor. So Thor's going through like this midlife crisis where he's even talking with a New York accent at some point. He's with Jane Foster and he's grabbing hot dogs, and it was actually kind of hilarious. So he's kind of running from his problems in this I don't know how you have a midlife crisis when you're a couple millennia old, or thousands of years old, yeah. But he is. But they get in a fight with the Wrecking Crew, which is kind of cool. They tear them up, and then Thor gets summoned by no other than his mother. But when he gets there to see his mother, who's sitting there waiting for him, Odin. And if you've been reading this, he and Thor are not on the best terms at the moment. And then Freyja and Thor's sister, Angela, show up at the end on the last page, and they got some business with Thor. So I'm curious to see how that ends. Like I said, I believe this is part 2 of 3, so we'll get a conclusion to this little short story arc by Donny Cates coming up in the issue 17 of Thor. But Donny Cates and Thor, it's good stuff. Always happy with that. Next up, we got Amazing Fantasy number 2 by Carr Andrews. This book is very cool. It takes a teenage Spider-Man, a World War II Cap, and very young Black Widow, and transports them to this fantasy island that is in turmoil and warring with its own species. It's kind of Uncle Ben is here, and he describes it as a purgatory, so it's kind of like a netting that's capturing souls between this life and the afterlife. And somehow 3 heroes got sucked here. They've not met up yet, but they are each on individual places in the island and trying to help these tribes settle the turmoil that's on the tribe or on the island. And it's actually pretty cool. I've been enjoying it. Got both covers here by Carr Andrews. He's writing and telling the story, so mad respect for anybody that's doing that in books right now. But love both these covers, especially this Spidey here. It's got the 1990s Spider-Man animated series feel to it, so that's why I picked that one up. Another great story by Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley, Spider-Man life story. This is a life story that's following J. Jonah Jameson, and it's very cool. These life stories are neat little stories that I guess are taking place in the multiverse because they don't coincide with anything that's actually going on in the Marvel universe. They kind of start out with the time period in our continuity, and then something happens and the character takes a different turn, and this is Jameson actually gets thrown in jail for the death of a scientist when he was employing the Scorpion back in the 60s to take Spidey out. Well, he ends up spending the majority of his life in jail and dealing with the turmoil of his hatred for and his consuming hatred for Spider-Man. And it was very well written. Zdarsky knocked out the park, and you really feel for Jonah and kind of see the different what the story that Zdarsky's trying to tell. It's a fantastic read. You guys should check it out. This is Spider-Man Life Story Annual #1. It's a fantastic story. Next up, we got the Cable one-shot. This is Al Ewing telling this. This is tied into The Last Annihilation. I bought this being super curious as to where the old Cable's been. And all I got from this is that, like, he just morphed from the young Cable back into the old Cable. I don't know. Anybody out there, if they understood it better than me, please leave a note in the comment, because that's all I got from it. That the young Cable and the old Cable are still one and the same. Don't know how that is, but it was a pretty cool story. It was just like old school Cable with X-Force. I mean, they even brought in his old youngsters. Here we got Cannonball on the team, along with Boom Boom. A couple of the other characters I was not familiar with, and also Lila Cheney. She was an old school X-Men hero, but it was like reading an old school X-Force comic, really. It was actually very cool. It was a lot of fun. They kept referencing Cable in all of his pockets, which he's obviously known for. So it was kind of cool and funny to see him doing that throughout the book a couple times. It was a fun Cable story. Doesn't tie up any loose ends in Last Annihilation. It's kind of a standalone story. I thought it would be more involved in it, but it wasn't. But it was a fun Cable read. Next up, we got Alien number 6. I'm sorry, Alien number 6. This was fantastic. This ties up the first story arc in Marvel's Alien story. Leaves you with a bit of a Game of Thrones ending where your main hero just bites the dust. You know, there's lots of twists and turns in this, and I thought it was really good. It was creepy and scary with the aliens. The storytelling was good. It was a very well done horror comic book, I felt. And every issue I was always excited to read. And excited to see where they take it now that the first story arc's done. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and the interior is done beautifully by Salvador LaRocca. Highly recommend this if you're a fan of the Alien franchise. I think they did a great job telling it. I never read much of the Dark Horse Alien books, so I don't know how they are in comparison to those. I know those have a very rabid cult following. People love those books that are fans of them. I've never read them, so I don't know how it is in comparison to those. But I'm a fan of the Alien franchise, and I like what Marvel's done with it. Last but not least, issue number 12. 12 issues of the Department of Truth. Picked up 2 covers here. Always love my Lady in Red covers, man. She's such a cool character. This was great. There's a big reveal in this. Guy that you thought was working for the department is actually working for Black Hat. And he takes our main protagonist and says he's taking him home, you know. So a lot of secrets came out, but just left us with more secrets. Can't wait to see what's coming in next month's issue. So that's what I had for the week. It was a lot, but there was a lot of variants. I did buy a lot of variants as well. So a handful of books I had 2 copies of. But a lot of reading this week, a lot of good stories in there. Couple of duds. Like I said, Dark Hawk wasn't too big of a fan. I don't think I'll be returning to that. But overall, enjoyed most of the books. Love the covers, art, and stories. Great as always. Let me know what you think in the comments. If there's anything I'm reading that I missed, please let's keep the conversation going. If you got any input on what you think of the stories that are going on that I'm reading, I'd love to have a conversation with you about them. Hit me up on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube. Always answering comments, questions, stuff like that. So happy to keep the conversation going with any of you guys. All right. So that's it for this week. Q signing out. Talk to you soon, guys. Peace.